Could somebody please make it make sense?
Hi everybody, welcome to Pop of Culture. I am your host, the Esoteric and Facetious, and this is a Pop of Culture where I speak on pop culture, social justice, and the human experience from a Black, bisexual, millennial perspective. Everything, and I mean everything, I say should be taken with a grain of salt as I'm simply a college student with access to a recording device and the internet. With that being said, my shouldn't be your sole reason to critique my views unless it's truly relevant. If you disagree with anything I say, let's have a civil conversation in the comment section below. With that being said, before I get into the topic of this video, I want to advertise my cover channel. I have a cover channel where I sing covers of throwback R&B, contemporary R&B, pop music, whatever I'm feeling, whatever you're feeling. I do parodies as well. But with all that being said, I'm going to leave the channel linked in the cards, in the description, and at this time, it's the only other channel that's listed in my channel section. But with all that being said, I want to talk with y'all. I want to do another video that's going to be my problematic tweet of the day, number 4, and I want to talk about some tweets that I've seen online that were very unsettling. So if you have not heard the influencer that goes by the name EthanIsSupreme, his name was Ethan Peters. He unfortunately passed away from a drug overdose. It was apparently a Xanax overdose, and he apparently struggled with addiction. So I send my condolences to the family and friends and anyone who knew him or was touched by him. But this video is not necessarily about Ethan. It's more about, I guess, the response I saw on Twitter, because I go on Twitter, every so often to, see what's good, see what's trending, mind my business. And I saw a few tweets, because I guess, I knew since he was an influencer, I think I'd seen a few of his videos. I knew that, a lot of other influencers might have, commented on it, things like that. So I think I searched his name on Twitter, and here's some of the things that I found. I put them in my notes. So let's see. The first tweet I see is a tweet that says Ariana Grande at 17 versus EthanIsSupreme at 17. And you see a picture of Ariana Grande at 17, and you see a picture of gravestone, a headstone, whatever you call it. And this post received 35 retweets, 31 quote tweets, and 534 likes. Now, the quote tweets, I would say, are tweets, some of which that are condemning this tweet and saying that this individual shouldn't have said this, right? But the majority of the interactions, whether it be the retweets or the likes, are engagement that is supporting this tweet. So what's my problem with this tweet? Here's my thing. Like I said, I did not closely follow EthanIsSupreme, so I can't be somebody who is going to testify to his character or who he was as a person. Hi, this is me in post. I just wanted to say I researched everything after filming the video, and I want to say that if you want to see the evidence, if you want to see the tweets and also the evidence I tried to find to support if these claims are true, then just keep your eye on the video, and all the overlays are going to have information on them. To keep it short, I did see him using the N-word. I also saw that Ethan accused Thomas Halbert of lying about having an eating disorder, which I think is disgusting. He did apologize for it, but I do think that it's never okay to accuse someone about lying about something like that, and I think that's one of the most damning things that we can see in what he left behind. I did not see him doing blackface, unless you consider blackface being using a darker foundation shade. I did not see anything to support allegations of transphobia. That doesn't mean that these things don't exist, but that means that I was not able to find them when researching. Of course, if you have information regarding any of the allegations in this video and you would like to put the information in the comments, feel free to do so. Back to scheduled programming. But here's my thing. A 17-year-old person, essentially a child, died of addiction. And I guess my thing is to make light of it, to make a joke of it. Here's where Ariana is, and then here's, to make that joke, for me, just kind of comes off tasteless, because my thing is, like I said, I'm not calling him an angel. I'm not saying that he was, this upstanding person. I don't know what he was and what he did. And it appears there's a lot of people who felt a way about him and what he did. But for me personally, I have this baseline of no matter, and maybe that's just me and that's how I've been raised, but I have this baseline of no matter, like there's a certain stuff that you just don't do or don't say where it's wrong. Because I guess for me, my thing is, even though Ethan, like I said, like it appears he's a controversial figure, this tweet to me just is in poor taste. And then the person who writes the tweet says, please leave me alone. If you're defending him, please seek mental and psychological help. And my thing is, here's the thing. People who were responding to the tweet and saying that it wasn't okay, they're not even necessarily defending Ethan. What they're saying is they're talking about you at Pocket Kitty with 3 Y's at the end. They're not even really talking about Ethan. Ethan sadly is no longer with us. But what they're talking about what you did. This is a conversation about you. This isn't about Ethan. They're saying please leave me alone, which first and foremost I find funny because it's like you didn't want to be left alone when you were getting these 35 retweets and these 534 likes. Then it was okay to kiki and laugh. But they think if you're defending him, please seek mental and psychological help. So it's like, here's my thing. Like, I don't think people are necessarily defending him, but what they're saying is what your tweet was not right. Like, you making light of the fact that a 17-year-old died of a apparent drug overdose. That's not okay. Whether this person said problematic things or didn't say problematic things, making light of the fact that a child is now dead is not okay. And saying that people should seek mental or psychological help, those are things that are real tools for people who actually need help. So acting as if because someone is chastising you for making light of a sad situation that they need mental help, that's disgusting, because mental health resources are of value for people who actually need help, not people who are calling you out for your BS. Okay. Then they call him the F slur, and which is funny that they used the @ sign so that they didn't get detected by Twitter. But they said this F was worse than Jeffree Star. Literally. They said, like I said before, one less racist white twink to worry about, me thinks. This is what happens when you speak on successful black women. So let's unpack this. Jeffree Star is 34 years old. He is twice the age of EthanIsSupreme. He had 558,000 followers on Instagram, and then he had on YouTube around 140,000 followers. Whereas if you look at Jeffree Star, 14.7 million followers and 17.2 million subscribers. So it's like, it's laughable to even think that they, like, comparing them first and foremost at 17 years old with a much less following. I don't even know if Ethan could have had as much of an impact, because if you look at Jeffree Star, he's been in controversial situations and settings since time on MySpace, like there's videos and pictures of him surfacing from years and years ago when probably Ethan was, in elementary and middle school. So I guess my thing is just to sit here and act like, okay, he was worse than, first and foremost, the fact that you feel justified in using the F slur towards somebody, and you're in the right. Like, he was worse than Jeffree Star. And that's another thing, too, I don't like. Like, they're not providing any evidence, because on Twitter, you don't need to provide evidence. And they say, like I said before, one less racist white twink to worry about, me thinks. And here's my issue with this part. My thing is, there are going to be racist white gay men, right? That's something that has happened, that those are people that do exist, and I'm not defending any of their behaviors, but I guess my thing is, it's like, it seems like this person who's writing this tweet has some pent-up issues that they may be projecting on Ethan, where they're saying, one less racist white tweet to worry about. So maybe this person has felt racism at the hands of white gay men, and they feel like Ethan, now they're attacking him because they feel attacked, because they felt attacked by Ethan, or they felt attacked by people who look like Ethan. But in this is what happens when you speak on successful black women. So here's another issue. Like, I feel like people try to cloak their own bias and just negative energy towards other people and I wouldn't, like, their own bias, their own hatred towards other people, and wokeness. So it's like, this is what happens when you speak on a successful Black woman. What happens? You die of a drug overdose and it's said that people who are close to Ethan said that he had struggled with drug addiction. So I guess my thing is, like, so, like, this is what happens when you speak on successful Black women. Like, even if he said bad things about Black women, like, which I would never defend, it's like, so now he deserves to die? Like, that's how it works? He deserves to die? Like, I guess my thing is, it's just like, this is what happens, him dying of a drug overdose? That's not cute. Like, I feel like people, like, drug addiction is a big problem.
Stats are staggering. Last year, more Americans died of a drug overdose than died in the Vietnam and Iraq wars combined. That is more than 64,000 people gone in 1 year.
Especially within young people. Like, I remember there was somebody who was supposed to graduate with me, and, like, from high school, and he didn't make it. And he's been, like, it's been a few years, and he's been deceased. Like, that's something I think about every now and then, and it's crazy to me.
Start yelling and yelling and yelling. Joe, you know, wake up, man. Come on, man.
As I walked through that door, it was just almost surreal. He was on 911 on the phone call. I just came back to him and I said, we can't fix this.
When I opened the door, he was crouched over on his bed. It looked like he was tying his shoes almost.
I went over to him. I touched him and he was cold.
And I guess my thoughts, like, with this whole idea of this is what happens when you speak on successful Black women, like, my thing is, first and foremost, if we look at Ethan's age yet again, he was young. He was 17 years old, and that's not to say any of his behavior was justified, but I think that he had a lot of stuff to learn. But I guess my thing is, it's like, a 17-year-old who has, if he hadn't had this drug overdose, he had years and years and years and years to learn and grow and change. And I think that's an issue I have. Like, this whole idea of what happens when you speak on successful Black women. And there's even this, like, Nicki Minaj gif, and it's like, that's disgusting to me, the fact that this person thinks that they can try to, like, we can talk about Ethan and his actions. First and foremost, like, can the man rest? Like, that's the thing I can't stand. That's a conversation I really want to have. Let me know if y'all want to have this conversation too. But I think that there's this issue of the second, like, I don't think when you die, you immediately, like, your actions are immediately forgiven and we can't talk about them. But I do think that the second that somebody dies, I do think that can we let them breathe? Can we let people mourn for a second? And I think with this situation, I feel like even more, considering that it was a child. Like, with Kobe Bryant, my thing with Kobe Bryant, and when in his passing, Kobe Bryant was not a child, and he wasn't a child when the sexual assault allegations came out. So my thing is, when Kobe Bryant passed, though it was tragic, may he rest in peace, I think that I see a little bit more of, okay, we can talk about him, we can have conversations about him. I will say, Ethan obviously was a public figure, but, like, he was 17 years old, so I feel like this whole idea of, you know, going back and forth about what he did, especially since this tweet isn't saying what he did, it's just joking about his death. And that's the thing I want to really talk about. Like, sometimes I feel like people try to act like, oh, we're just trying to discuss, we're just trying to, you know, oh, he was racist, he was this. Then speak on how he was racist. Speak on how he was problematic. But you're not speaking about that. You're just trying to make a funny little tweet and defend yourself. But if you gave evidence about how he was racist, I'm not saying that this is the right time. I'm not trying to police, you know, when it's the right time, because who am I to tell you when the time is to speak on stuff? But my thing is, it's just like the justification. There's another tweet from them. They say EthanIsSupreme is dead. OMG, God's timing is always right. And it's like, I agree with this tweet, says he was a disgusting person, but that doesn't give you the right to make fun of a child's death. It's not a good look. And I agree with that. I agree with the fact that you may not like a person, but making fun of their death, especially with multiple tweets, that's why I'm like, you're talking about mental health and psychological help, but it's seeming like you may be the one, because this is not normal, especially if you didn't know him personally. And then someone says, let's get this straight. say he was rude, racist, transphobic, and a druggie. They say, didn't he sell copyrighted merch and publicly state that he doesn't care? Sound like God had better plans for him. Y'all say he was a child, but y'all will call a 17-year-old adult a murderer. Yeah, okay. This is by @Drake Haverhill. And here's my thing. I'm not defending if he said anything racist, transphobic, but first and foremost, like, they were like, he was a rude, racist, transphobic, and a druggie. And my thing is, here's where we have to split some hairs, because I'm like, him being rude is not okay, him being racist and him being transphobic, but calling him a druggie, it's like, I feel like people pick and choose when they want to be sympathetic to people who are addicted to drugs, where sometimes, if it's the right person, then, they were struggling with addiction, but the other times it's, they're a druggie and they need to do better. And I don't condone, like I said, the whole copyright situation, but that's the thing I want to talk about, because he was 17 years old. Like, that's the thing. Like, even when we look at people who are 18, like, graduating from high school, there's a reason why we have college and we have, people entering the workforce and stuff. We have, like, there's a process where we don't give all this freedom and power to people immediately, because, like, when you turn 18, even though you can be considered an adult, like, I think that once you turn 18, that's when the process of adulthood starts. And I mean, obviously some of it goes on in high school and stuff and during adolescence, but I feel like once you turn 18, you're slowly but surely like, okay, more and more responsibilities are going to be put on your plate and stuff. And I feel like my issue is, like, people are saying we'll try a 17-year-old murderer as an adult. And it's like, yes, because when people choose to willingly murder somebody at age 17, we'll try them as an adult. But I mean, a run-of-the-mill 17-year-old who is just minding their business, but like a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, certain times people can be tried as an adult depending on what they did, but that's for a murderer. You're trying to compare a murderer who committed a crime against somebody who may have said some things you didn't like on social media or did some problematic things. And saying, like, sounds like God had better plans for him. This young man had a drug overdose. They said he struggles with addiction. This is not, about God did this or God did that. And a God that would take a 17-year-old before they really had a chance to live their life and to live and have a full life is no God I want to follow anyway. But I guess let's go to the next tweet. Let's go. And first and foremost, let's see, the fact that Pocket Kitty is really out here continuing to tweet negative things. It's just, for me, I just don't understand why. Because they literally tweeted 2 years ago, the world tragically lost Mac Miller. And my issue is, you can find sympathy for Mac Miller, but you can't find sympathy for, and I'm not trying to say, I'm like, that they're the same, that they're one and the same, but it's like, it's very interesting to me that you can find sympathy for Mac Miller, but you can't find any sympathy when they both died of drug overdose. So it's like one person on your timeline gets sympathy, one doesn't. And I'm not defending Ethan's actions, but it's like, if Ethan was even younger than Mac Miller, it's like you'd think you'd have even more sympathy towards him. The next tweet is, EthanIsSupreme died maybe if he didn't do blackface, be transphobic, and call POC's monkey. Another white gig on me thinks a win. By @HWAS, H was a big and this got, this got 100 retweets, 44 quote tweets, 944 likes. While he was 17, you're sick. They said, I don't care if he was a racist, transphobic cracker, their words, not mine, who mocked multiple POC and called an Asian girl a chink. God's timing is always right. So here's my biggest issue at H was whatever this is.日my biggest issue, and I'm speaking directly to them. My thing is right here and now. Do you if society, at least, I'm speaking about the US, doesn't consider 17-year-olds adults, then it's like, why is it that Twitter, I'm not saying that he did, but I guess my thing is, it's just like a 17-year-old child. I do think he was probably old enough to have been known better than what he did with all these allegations and stuff. But it's like, this whole idea, this idea of God's timing is always right. Do you not understand that this child is dead, that this person is dead? This is not a Kiki on Twitter. this person is not going to have an 18th birthday, 19, 20, 21. They're never going to be an adult. They're never going to be a parent, to get married, to a lot of this stuff that, retire. Work to retire. Like, do you people, like, this is sick. This is gross. Like, I'm not defending his actions, but it's just like, do you not understand that people have the power to change? And who knows? Maybe if he didn't pass, he would have continued his actions and he would have not changed. But my thing is, it's just like rejoicing in the fact that this child passed away is sick, and saying God's timing is always right. This isn't about God's timing. This is about the fact that we live in a country where there's several people out there who are abusing drugs, probably to self-medicate. This is not about God's timing, because he didn't die because God struck him down. He died because the drugs reacted in his system in a way to stop him from living. So next, we're going to go to the next piece by @FairyUna. EthanIsSupreme called me a chink and poor back in 2019, but look who's thriving now. And they posted a thing that says God's timing is always right. And I'm not saying that it's okay for them to call him that, but it's just like, let's see, because then they put, y'all's parents should have named y'all Maddie because y'all sound mad in my DMs. And they say, see y'all in hell. And it's just like, and of course, 99 retweets, 35 quote tweets, and 1,355 likes. And here's my issue. And then there's like the hidden replies. Here's my issue with this. Like, I understand that what he did and what he stood for may have not been good, and I'm not defending anything that he did. But it's sick and disgusting to me that people are rejoicing about a child dying. Like, that's my thing. I think a lot of these people don't understand. And I've said this before in other videos of mine. Like, if somebody's being problematic, you can be problematic towards a problematic person. Let's see, Disco Dads. And this is a tweet that I agree with. Any of y'all celebrating a child's death have being a sociopath. I guess they're saying, like, y'all can have that. Have being a sociopath. EthanIsSupreme passing is tragic, regardless of what he did. A child overdosing is the worst it can get. Like, seriously, the amount of tweets, virtue signaling, and the BLM tweets don't effing matter when you're in the same breath you're joking about this. And I agree with that. Like, stop it. Like, my thing is, multiple things exist in this world. And my thing is, I feel like a lot, like, even the first person who tried to say, that's what happens when you talk negative on black women. Like, my thing is, yes, Black Lives Matter, but my thing is, we also should live in a world where minors don't have access to drugs, and where they shouldn't feel like they have to abuse them, because there's typically a reason. People don't just take drugs and abuse them in a way for no reason. So I guess it's just kind of like the fact that they're just disregarding that, and even unpacking that. I'm no mental health professional, but perhaps, and I'm not justifying any of his actions, but it's like, perhaps all the reason why it's popping off is because maybe he had internal issues and stuff that he was putting out in the world, and that's not justifying what he did, but it's just like, a lot of this behavior, especially for young folks, this behavior doesn't come out of nowhere. And I think a lot of people view people like EthanIsSupreme as just being bad individuals who are just bad, but it's like, people like Ethan not justifying his behaviors are part of a larger system. So it's like, I guess my thing is, it's like, saying bad things about Ethan isn't helping. You're not helping the problem. Like, if people took screenshots and said, unfortunately he passed away, here are some of the things that he did that were not so good, and let's unpack why they weren't good, and let's unpack why, some problems that can exist within, white gay men young men who, aren't aware of their privilege. That's a conversation. And maybe we can have that conversation on this channel. But my thing is, what I'm not here for is rejoicing in the death of somebody. Because I agree with this tweet. This is another tweet by Ms. Mark Tuen. Even if EthanIsSupreme was a bad person, he was effing 17. And you adults making fun of his death and saying he deserved it and saying you're glad he is gone due to overdose make me sick. How could y'all say that about a child? You're grown. And I agree with that. And that's the thing that I just have to say, like, I'm over this foolishness. It's tragic that he passed. I don't agree with the things that he may have said. If he said racist things, if he said problematic things, I don't co-sign any of it. Let's get that clear. But my thing is, at the same time, let's not sit here and act, and I'm not saying, let's not sit here and act like a 17-year-old doesn't have time to grow and change. Like, when I think about myself at 17, like, just the amount of change and growth that I get year to year, month to month as a young person. Like, adulthood is full of exploration and growing and maturing. And I feel like that's a thing too we have to unpack with a lot of these people on social media. Like, it appears if somebody is 17 years old and they have that much access to drugs and things of that sort, then it appears like, this is not a 17-year-old that's going from high school home to play practice. That's not what it doesn't appear like that. And with him having over 100,000 subscribers and over 500,000 followers, it appears like he may have been living a different life than a lot of people his age were living, and he may have had not had the parental supervision to check in on him. He may not have had people that were holding him accountable in the ways that a 17-year-old that's going to high school to and fro and, going to the play practice may be having. So I guess for me, I'm not justifying any of his actions, but I just want to say Twitter makes me sick. The fact that some people could tweet this stuff, and that's the thing that really bothers me. Like, when we look at these tweets like Pocket Kitty, as far as I know, there's no personal identification on this account. Nothing on here, right? I don't see anything on here that's personally identifying this. And here's my issue. And even looking on their page, they say this stuff. They retweeted this. You are loved. Let me tell you something. Don't ever say that you are not. You are not loved. I swear to God, you are loved. You are important. You're a strong person. Never give up. You got that IDGF attitude. You're going to grow. It's like a positive post. And it's like, how can you post that? How can you post it after celebrating the death of a child? Explain that to me. Explain that to me, because I don't understand it. Like, I think that's the issue I see with a lot of people. A lot of people I see have this black and white thinking. These people are bad people. These people are good people. And a lot of people place themselves in the quote-unquote good person category by default. And it's like, I think that's the thing too. Like, I think a lot of people will see somebody's actions and categorize them as bad, and they themselves that's the thing, because we justify everything we do a lot of times. A lot of times we can justify anything we do. Oh, I did this because of this and this and this. But when somebody else does things that we don't like, they get put in the bad category. But we ourselves never, a lot of the times, have self-awareness to put ourselves or say, maybe that's something I said was wrong. And that's the thing with Twitter. You don't have to do that. You can just block people. Like this person saying, oh, y'all must be named Maddie because y'all are mad. And I think that's the thing. I would love to. I'm going to report these tweets, and hopefully, Twitter will do something about it. Like I said, I don't condone the way any of the actions, but even that's the thing too that I find very interesting. Like, a lot of these people who are tweeting about EthanIsSupreme, I feel like if you're going to say somebody's racist, homophobic, transphobic, they didn't say it was homophobic, they said he was racist, transphobic, that he did blackface. Is it that hard to do a screenshot? And I'm not saying that he didn't do it, because just because we don't have evidence of something doesn't mean that someone didn't do it. But it's just for the fact, for you to have rejoiced in his death, it would seem like the least you could do was have receipts, But this is what I see on social media. This is why I don't like social media. So what are y'all's thoughts on this whole situation? Do y'all use Twitter? How do you go through Twitter without seeing this foolishness? Thanks so much for watching. Share your thoughts below. Like this video if you like this video. If you made it to this point in the video, comment a thumbs up emoji below, or still here if you are still here. Subscribe if you want to see more, and make sure to hit that bell so you're the first to know when I upload new content. I upload new content every week. And if you're enjoying yourself, and why wouldn't you be enjoying yourself? To the left, there's a playlist of all my video essay podcasts. I have 24 and counting. In the center is a button to subscribe if you just haven't had a chance to subscribe and you would like to. And to the right is a playlist of all of my covers and parodies. So if you are wanting to check those out, feel free to do so. And if you want to support me, if you want to support the show, first and foremost, a non-financial way you can support is just through sharing this video. I can make the thumbnails, I can, make the titles, I can do the tags and do keyword research. But one of the best ways that I can grow my brand is through y'all sharing this content with other people who like this type of content, because I nor you can control the algorithm, but I can control the quality of the content I make, and y'all can, if you enjoy the content, share with people who can like it, so that way, if y'all are feeling it, it's getting put out there, whether, you know, the algorithm favors it or not. Somebody's going to see it because you resonated with it and you resonated with me, and now you're sharing it with other people. So if that's a non-financial way you can support the channel, and if you do want to support the channel financially, my Cash App is linked in the description of this video. You know, I'm trying to, you know, upgrade my production quality and just, you know, keep growing and expanding and, you know, doing bigger and better. So if you want to help and support that vision, feel free to do so. All those who donate to the channel will be featured in the credits of all of my videos on both of my channels. Thanks so much for watching. Love you all. Bye bye. See you next time.